if the NFL had a 7-game format, Super Bowl losers that would have won it all if they'd had a chance to win 4 out of the next 6. You know how the best of 7 goes. So go ahead. The coin toss will not be best of 7.
Tails.
He's trying to end the streak of 3 straight losses.
Yes.
Will it be a head? Will it be a tails? He ends the streak. All right,
baby.
Go ahead. I don't mind today because there is no obvious one. There are plenty of great choices. Go ahead.
No, I think you're right. There is no obvious one. I don't think, but I think there's maybe one that jumps out to the rest of, or jumps out than the rest. And I'm going to go with the 07 New England Patriots. I am. That's going to be my first choice. And this is not an easy draft, but yeah, they lost a heartbreaker in Super Bowl 42 to the New York Giants. I get that. 17-13. It was a great football game to watch. Now, do I think that the New York Giants probably played the best game they were absolutely capable of playing? Yes, I do. And do I think New England didn't play their best game of the year at that point? Yes, I do as well. Now, again, I'm not trying to take any credit from the New York Giants, but I just still think this was a New England team that if you just go through the positions, the team, the coaches, hey, it's close. I understand the Giants had a lot of good things there that what I'm mentioning as well, but I just think that the greatness of the New England Patriots over a series would have won out, and they would have won like a series 4-3 or maybe 4-2 when all said and done.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing about the Patriots. The more you play them, the more they are going to learn what you do, and they're going to make it harder and harder for you to win. And there would have to be a huge gap in talent the other way for the Patriots to not eventually overcome it. And in this case, the talent difference, the Patriots were better than the Giants.
Yeah.
Right? On that one day, it worked for the Giants. I think over the course of a 7-game series with Bill Belichick figuring out how to attack the Giants and how to make changes one game after another, that would eventually result in the Patriots winning enough games. All right, I'm going to go way back here because this was the first great upset of the Super Bowl era. This was the team that was supposedly unbeatable, and the New York Jets found a way to make it happen. The Baltimore Colts, 1968. If you go 7 games then, the Baltimore Colts, I guarantee, would have won at least 4 of the next 6 because it was kind of fluky. The Jets caught the Colts flat-footed. The Colts came in with, a lot of optimism and almost a presumption they were going to win. It wasn't a question of whether they'd win. It was how many points they'd win by. And once they got hit in the mouth early, they never quite recovered. There was that moment late in the first half of the game when Earl Morrall had Jimmy Orr wide open on a play they had used before. And why didn't he throw the ball? Why didn't he see Jimmy Orr? So if you give the Colts a chance to recover from losing game 1, they're gonna end up winning that series, and they may win it 4-1.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's not like I was alive to watch these teams, but I love NFL history, NFL films.
I was 3.
Right.
I don't remember much about the game.
But anything you hear is that, going into the matchup, the Colts were clearly the dominant team. Everybody expected them to win the Super Bowl. That's what's great about football. It comes down to one moment, one game, and, human emotions. And one team's being told, damn, we're good and we're going to win the Super Bowl. And the other team's being told, you don't have a chance. You're going to lose this thing. And, these are both professionals. So one team might be greater, but not so great that, those human emotions might not tip the scales a little bit. And that's where it came down to. And it seems like the Colts, quarterback play wasn't that good that day. And Joe Willie Namath was on fire. So that's what led to that. So not a bad pick by you. That was on my list as well. My next one, I'm going vice versa here on the Patriots. I'm going with the 0-1 St. Louis Rams. Again, you talked about how New England, the more they get to play, the more they'll get to know your tendencies. Well, I actually think in this case, it would have benefited the Rams to play New England more because to what you said a minute ago, I think the Rams were significantly more talented team on the field. There was a pretty good gap as far as talent. The Rams, it wasn't just the greatest show on turf. This is one thing people forget about the Rams. When they won the Super Bowl, they were the number 1 defense in football. This year in the 2001 season, it was the number 3 defense defense in football. So they were a really well-rounded football team. And I think the great game planning in a one-game scenario caught the Rams off guard because they played Bill Belichick, who had 2 weeks, and they were like, what the heck? Nobody's played us this way. What are they doing? And I just look at that and go, yeah, if they got another look or got a feel for what New England did that was so, different in their attack, that I think that ultimately their talent would have overcome, and if it became a 7-game series, and they would have won that like 4-3, 4-2, something like that too.
And actually, Chris, to make what Belichick did even more impressive, they only had a 1-week turnaround for that
that's
game.
Right, because that was 9/11 that year. That's right.
Yeah, and they still came up with a great game plan. But that's what I was referring to earlier. That talent gap would have been so much that Mike Martz, the coach of the Rams at the time, eventually would have put the ego down because he refused to take what the Patriots were giving him.
Right.
At some point, he'd have said, screw it. If they're going to give it to us and we're going to run Marshall Faulk 50 times a game and we're going to run him right down their throats and we're going to win the game. Now, I thought here's where you were going when you said we were flipping around. I thought you were flipping around from the perspective of the Giants, because it was the Giants and Bill Belichick who knocked off the Bills in 1990 in Super Bowl 25. And it's his same idea. There was a huge talent gap between the Bills and the Giants. Bill Belichick put together the master game plan that slowed down the K-Gun offense. He was not going to slow down the K-Gun offense over a 7-game series. And they just barely beat the Bills as it was.
Yes.
I think this is like the 5th time we've mentioned Super Bowl 25 this week.
I feel like we have
barely beat the Bills as it was.
Right.
And you play that game up to 6 more times, and the Bills are going to win at least 4 of those games because Scott Norwood is going to get a shot at redemption at some point, and that 47-yard field goal is not going to go wide right. And here's the reality.
Right.
You're not going to need a last-second field goal from Scott Norwood if you get a chance to put that Bills team on the field with the Giants again.
No question, Mike. I'm with you. Listen, I think my dad and some of his teammates would probably tell you the same thing. I've heard my dad say, they lost to the Bills in the regular season that year. That's the game my dad broke his foot in and wasn't able to finish the season or go into the playoffs with. But, I've heard him say it. I've heard other teammates of him say, yeah, that Buffalo Bills team was better than us. But, the Giants were machines as far as knowing how to win. Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, situational football, and they executed. It was, Parcells, Belichick. That's what they did. Yeah, we're not as good, but we're going to execute what we do to a level that you have never seen before, and that was the greatness of that Giants offense and defense, right? The run game and the defense that they played that day. You're right. I'm with you. That would have been my next. I tossed around the 0-1 Rams and the 90 Bills. I wasn't sure which one to go with there, so good pick by you. I'm not going to fight that at all.
Now it gets interesting.
Now it gets interesting. It does. And I'm going to go here with the 2009 Indianapolis Colts, okay? That's and this is tough when you get down to this category here. But, I understand these teams were pretty close, but I do think that the Indianapolis Colts were the better football team over that New Orleans Saints football team. One thing that I'll always remember, I always thought, gosh, if Dwight Freeney didn't have the bad high ankle sprain in that Super Bowl, I think that would have been a whole different game. Don't forget the onside kick, okay, at the start of the second half. That was a huge game-changing moment. Pierre Garçon at one point dropped a wide-open pass down the middle where I don't know if anybody touches him. I think he's going to score a touchdown or at least get very close on a 3rd down when the Colts were really controlling the game early on, and I don't think you can depend on Peyton Manning throwing late-game interception and throughout a 7-game series too. So that would be my next one. I think the 2009 Colts would beat those 2009 Saints in a 7-game series.
I got one for you. That I've got a bunch of different ones I can do, but I remember vividly after the Packers had won Super Bowl 31 over the New England Patriots, and they were great the following year, and they made it back to the Super Bowl, and it was. Of course the Packers are going to beat the Broncos. John Elway can't win a Super Bowl. He's been horrible in the Super Bowl, and the Packers are great, and the Packers have Reggie White, and they've got Brett Favre, and this is going to be easy. Next thing you know, the Broncos end up winning that game. I think on a 7-game series, the Packers end up being the better team. The Packers end up winning enough games. The Broncos really caught them that day, and I don't think it would, especially with a guy like Mike Holmgren coaching the Packers, I don't think the Broncos would have been able to figure them out enough times to win the series.
I'm not. They were on my short list here as well, Mike. I thought about that too. That was a really awesome Packers football team. I mean, they were really good. And yeah, I think ultimately what won that game for the Denver Broncos was really creative game planning by Mike Shanahan. I've heard guys like Leroy Butler on NFL films and things talk about, they did things with their offense and especially the run game that day that put the Packers in a bind to where, I think if a series goes out, they start to figure those type of things out, and then Terrell Davis is not gashing them for 10 yards every time he touches the ball in between the tackles. So I'm not mad at you there either. This is a good draft. I had a lot of fun with this one because it wasn't easy.
Rattle off some other. You got some other ones that are on your list? Rattle them off.
I think the 15 Carolina Panthers, I think if they play that Denver Bronco team 7 times, they're going to win. Let's not forget it was a sack fumble for a touchdown. It was Cam Newton strip sack, fumble close to his own goal line for the other touchdown. So I think the Carolina Panthers were the better team. The other one I thought about, I didn't have the gut, but the 14 Seahawks. I thought that 14 Seahawks team was better than the New England Patriots, but again, New England showed their greatness in those one-game situations. But those are other ones that were on my list.
Hey, 2011 Patriots against the Giants.
Yeah, I hear you.
2017 Patriots against the Eagles in a 7-game series. I think they end up winning that. How about the Rams from just this past year? If they go 7 games against the Patriots, they're not going to score 3 points in 7 games. I guarantee you that.
Right.
So, and one last one, because it was a controversial game because of the officiating. But the Steelers, when they beat the Seahawks a better team in Super Bowl 40.
Good one there. I had totally forgot about that. You're right. That was a day, man, I still feel bad for Matt Hasselbeck there. I mean, Matt Hasselbeck, first of all, is one of the more underrated great quarterbacks of our era. And gosh, did he play good that day. And the team and the referees let the Seattle Seahawks down.
All right, quick break. Let's see the recap. I've got the 68 Colts, the 1990 Bills, the 97 Packers, and Chris has the 07 Patriots, 01 Rams, and the 2009 Indianapolis Colts.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.